Ah! Oh. God, no. Why? Why does this exist? Well, everybody, it is time to talk about this fruit right here, the saw palmetto. Saw palmetto has a reputation of tasting really, really bad. However, it is historically important. It's something that I need to address, and today is that day. This is actually native to North America. You can find this growing just out in the open in Florida. It has the name saw palmetto because the leaves of it are kind of serrated. They look like a little saw, and you could probably actually saw something with this because it's quite hard. And when you want to pick this fruit, you got to be careful because this can actually cut you up pretty bad. It is like a saw blade. And people do go to that effort because saw palmetto is a major commercial crop these days because people like it for medicinal benefits. Some claim that an extract made from saw palmetto can be used to treat urinary health problems and prostate cancer. And the historical significance is that Native Americans used to use this fruit quite a bit. It was used as a food, but also it was used as a different medicine. It was used for fish poisoning. This is a fascinating fruit with a fascinating history, and I'm going to get into some of that in a second. But in case you just came here to watch me eat something gross, I'm going to get that part out of the way. Okay, so I'm going to eat this, then we're going to get into some history, and then I'm going to make something with this, and then I'm probably going to go and get like a tin of like Altoids or something, because this thing, it's gonna be bad. This episode is brought to you by Helix Sleep. Helix Sleep makes premium mattresses and bedding that are customized to fit your needs and then conveniently shipped right to your door. Now, I know this channel is about fruit, but for those that don't know, my day job is that I'm a contortionist. Yes, really. Making sure that I sleep well is very important. I can't wake up with a crooked neck or like a bad back or something. That would affect my job. My last mattress was not a very good one. It was with the coil springs in it, and sometimes those springs would stick up randomly, and I was actually waking up with a bad neck. But I thought that this was just a normal thing that people deal with, that every few months you're gonna wake up and you're gonna have a bad neck. This is not normal. As I record this, I've had my Helix mattress for 3 months, and in these 3 months, I have not had any problems whatsoever. I've been sleeping great and waking up without any pain. The best thing about Helix Sleep is that they will match you with a mattress that best fits you. So there is a quiz over on their website, a sleep quiz. Unfortunately, this quiz does not ask you whether or not you're a contortionist. But because I'm a side sleeper and I tend to like a medium firmness, it paired me with the Dusk Luxe. This is the best mattress that I have ever had. It's not just a big block of foam. There's stuff going on in there. Now, like the top layer is nice and soft, so it's comfortable, but deep down, there's like structure to it. Helix is shipped to your door free, it's easy to set up, it's really simple, and if you don't like it after the first 100 days, you can get a full refund. So if you are thinking of upgrading your mattress, or if you need a new mattress, check out helixsleep.com/weirdexplorer. Go there or click the link in the description below and you can get $200 off your order and 2 free pillows. All right, let's get this over with. This smells like stinky Parmesan cheese and barf. It smells a lot like noni. And word on the street is that this is actually worse than noni. If you haven't seen my noni episode, watch my noni episode because it is the worst fruit that I've ever had in the entire world. It tastes like barf, cheese, and lemons. So, is this gonna be worse? And it's got like a juice in it, so I'm gonna kind of just like pinch a little opening here and suck out some of that delicious nectar. Ah! Ah! Huh. Oh, God. Ah! Oh, God, no. Why? Why does this exist? It isn't as bad as Noni, okay? It's not that bad. But it's pretty bad. I hate to say it, there are some good qualities to it. But the problem is it's got that vomity taste, okay? And what that is something called butyric acid. This is an acid that exists in cheese, it exists in some fruits and vegetables, it exists in like butter, especially noticeable if butter gets bad, and that's where the word butyric comes from butter. And it's also in your gut. It helps you digest things, I believe. So that is why when you throw up, you taste that horrible taste. That is butyric acid that you're tasting. And that is in this lovely fruit here. But if you were to just take that acid out of here, let's say we could just like delete that terrible, terrible flavor from this, there are some other flavors in there that are actually good. Let's break them down. It's really hard for me to do this because I'm trying to pick out a flavor in there, but it's like that flavor is just covered in rancid cheese. But it's in there. And it tastes kind of like... maybe a little bit like a grape popsicle. And there's also a fattening flavor, like what you get from an olive. And it's kind of peppery, I guess a little bit like black pepper, but also a little bit like Szechuan pepper, because it's making my tongue tingle a little bit when I eat it. And rancid cheese. Now don't get me wrong, I hate this. I hate it a lot. However, I think it can be used. This is something that I feel someone could acquire the taste for. It's not like Noni. Like Noni, some people like Noni. Some people actually take a bite out of Noni and have a good time. Those are very special people. That is a rarity. This, however, it does have enough nice flavors in there. Maybe like if you eat this when you're a kid, it'd be terrible. But if you keep eating it when you get older, you would like it. It's that sort of thing. These days, people do not typically eat this how I'm eating it now. Either the fresh fruit or the dry fruit is brewed into a beverage, often mixed with a lot of spices. And I think that is probably the way to do it. I'm gonna do that in a second. I'm gonna actually prepare this into a drink, but first I have 2 orders of business. Number 1, this was sent to me by William. William, thank you very much. This is something that I've wanted to try in some ways. And 2, I would like to share a historical account with you about the saw palmetto that I found very interesting. One of the earliest references to saw palmetto comes from a captivity narrative that was written in the 17th century. Captivity narratives are kind of like 17th century tabloids. They are dramatic, long stories, typically about a colonist being captured by either pirates or native people of a place. These are usually based on true events, but they are through a lens that is kind of biased. They are very sensational, they're pretty racist, and they have usually an ulterior motive of promoting religion in it. For all their faults, though, they do show you a rare glimpse of what this sort of interaction was like. The part that I'm going to read for you comes from a book by Jonathan Dickinson titled God's Protecting Providence, Man's Surest Help and Defense in Times of the Greatest Difficulty and Most Eminent Danger, evidenced in the remarkable deliverance of Robert Barrow with diverse other persons from the devouring waves of the sea, amongst which they suffered shipwreck, and also from the cruel, devouring jaws of the inhumane cannibals of Florida. Now that's a title. So this book was written by Jonathan Dickinson. He and his family and a group of other people were sailing from Jamaica to Philadelphia, but along the way they got struck by a hurricane and became shipwrecked in Florida. They were immediately captured by the Yaga tribe. They were all brought in front of the chief, and the chief, when dealing with them, was eating the Saw Palmetto fruit. And they were all starving at this point, so they kind of like reacted with jealousy. While they were living with this tribe, they were offered food, but they were reluctant to eat the food because they thought that the people in the tribe were only giving them food so they can fatten them up, and then the tribe was going to eat them. And between you and me, pretty sure that this tribe was not cannibals. Eventually, their hunger got the better of them, and they did end up eating some of the food that was offered to them, including the Saw Palmetto. And what follows is just the best fruit review of all time. We tasted them, but not one among us could suffer them to stay in our mouths, for we could compare the taste of them to nothing else but rotten cheese steeped in tobacco juice. So although captivity narratives should be read with more than just a grain of salt, you can see the accuracy in that description there. I don't think it's quite that bad, but that is a great line. Jonathan Dickinson and the rest of his party were not eaten. Big surprise there. They were released, and then eventually they were captured again by a different tribe, and then they faced another hurricane, and when they got to Philadelphia, Jonathan Dickinson became the mayor. So let's make some tea. Well, it has been 15 minutes and... it doesn't look very infused. Yeah, good enough. I mean, it makes it easier to drink, but that flavor is pretty gnarly. And it does have like a greasy kind of feel to it. In fact, if you look at the top of the cup, you could probably even see some grease floating on top. It is actually oily, and it tastes like that. It has like a stale oil flavor. Adding the spices and the vanilla and the sugar does make it more tolerable, but it doesn't go with that flavor. You know, like that flavor, it is a little bit fruity. Like it's got that like popsicle kind of flavor, but it's more of a savory sort of taste. So like adding vanilla to a piece of cheddar cheese doesn't really mesh right. And that is the case with this. Like if you're just trying to get it for the medicine, yeah, put a lot of sugar, spices, juice, like dilute that, and it'll make it easier to swallow. But if you want to utilize the fruit for what it is, I think it's better to go more savory. Take that and use it kind of like you would use cheese. Whenever I buy a cheese that is like too funky for me, like it's like Limburger or something, what I normally do is I shred it up and put it in like a beer bread. This would work well with that. If you get enough strong flavors, it could actually be used in that sort of thing. Something where you want it to have that extra bite. So I think that's about it. Definitely Saw Palmetto is not my favorite fruit. It is pretty close to the bottom of my favorite fruits. Yet it does have its use. I think it does have its use. Not eating out of hand, but you could utilize that funk. You can try to like harness that funk and do something wonderful with it. I would like to give a big shout out to Loftyrex and Smarter Every Day. They are mega patrons over on Patreon.com. Patreon.com is basically how I can afford to go on all the adventures I do on this channel. So if you enjoy my series and you want to help support me, check out the link in the description below. If you don't want to go on Patreon, I also have t-shirts for sale like this one here, the Durian Anatomy shirt. That is available on my website, which I also put in the description below. Thanks so much, everybody. See you next time.